These are my top 10 favorite side hustles from the vast ocean of side hustle options out there. Guaranteed, if you watch it to the very end, you'll be able to incorporate a few of these ideas as soon as the video is over. Welcome to Modern Wealth. To start things off, we're going to begin with the basics of creating a second source of income. The quickest one that almost everyone could begin implementing immediately is dividend income. You might be thinking to yourself, but dividend income isn't a side hustle. That's just sweet passive income. Now that's somewhat true. But the purpose of a side hustle is to create multiple sources of income, and this one is probably the easiest to do right now. Here's how this works. Anytime you go and buy a stock, what you're really buying into is a small piece of ownership in the company. And when that company posts a profit, sometimes they'll pay you back a portion of what they make in the form of a dividend. As a few examples, it's reported that the average dividend in the financial sector is 4.1%. Utility companies pay about 3.9%, and others like consumer goods, healthcare, and industrial pay about 2.2%. That means if you invest $100 into one of those stocks, you could make anywhere from $2 to $4 a year for doing absolutely nothing besides clicking a few buttons on your phone. Now with this one, of course, I get it. It technically takes money to make money. So I'll cover plenty of other free options shortly for everyone else starting out with $0. But if you have the income and you don't mind investing, then dividends could make a fantastic side hustle. And trust me, once you start, you're not going to want to stop. Now that we've just talked about dividend income, it would be irresponsible of me not to talk about the other income source that goes hand in hand with stocks, and that would be capital gains. This is what happens when you sell your investment like a dividend stock for a profit, and the amount you pay tax on is what's known as your capital gains. For example, if you buy a stock for $10 and you sell it for $25, that means you'll pay tax on the 15 of the profit. That will be reported to the IRS as another source of income. They're always watching too. So it's another way that you can make money by investing in stocks because not all stocks pay dividends. Instead, many stocks are what's known as a growth stock because what they don't pay out as a dividend gets reinvested back into the company, pushing up the stock price even higher. It would be like buying a $100 stock, and instead of it paying you a 5% dividend every year, the stock price goes up by 5% a year at the end of the day. It's almost the exact same thing, except you're not going to be taxed on the value of the stock going up until you sell. Unlike dividends, where you'll have to pay tax each and every year depending on how much money you make. Not only that, but the capital gains tax rate is generally much lower on investments that you've held longer than a year compared to unqualified capital gains. So use that to your advantage, especially if you're young and not making a lot of money. This is why most wealthy investors prefer growth stocks as another source of income, because not only are they not getting taxed each and every year, but they have complete control in terms of how much and when they sell to lock in those sweet long-term capital gains tax rates. For the third one, let's talk about one more that could potentially make you a lot of money depending on how involved you want to be. This would be rental income. Now, I don't think you need to buy a property with 20 down in a highly competitive market with all cash investors to make this work, even though that is an option. But with this, it's entirely possible to make money with absolutely nothing out of your pocket. Even if you don't own your own property, here's the thing. If you buy a property, rent it out, and make a monthly profit, you're doing well. But for people just starting out with a ton of cash to buy a home, you could make quite a lot of money by renting out an unused bedroom or some extra storage space like a garage. I mean, I've seen people rent out a portion of their entire garage for anywhere from $200 to $500 a month, which is cheaper than a storage unit and sometimes works better for your neighbor down the street who wants an extra parking spot for their 1994 McLaren F1. Best of all, even if you rent your home, as long as your lease agreement allows for additional tenants, you could use this exact same strategy to offset your own cost of living. I've had so many friends rent out a 4 to 5 bedroom house for $4,000 a month, only to sublease those bedrooms for $1,500 a month, each giving them a free place to stay. So my thinking is this: if you have an interest in working with other people or living with a roommate or renting out some unused spaces, do it. But just be aware that it's going to be a learning curve until you make a more consistent income. Before we move on to free options, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. All your support will really mean a lot to us, and we can continue making these informative videos for you. Now, on to the fourth and personal favorite option. The fourth is for anybody who doesn't have extra money, but want to make money without having to spend money. I have the perfect solution for you, and that would be selling stuff you already own. Now, I understand this requires that you actually have to own something to begin with to sell it. But I would venture to say that almost all of us have something we do not use that's collecting dust in the closet that could be sold for money. Places like eBay, Facebook Marketplace, or Craigslist make it extremely easy to list whatever you have. Place it up for auction, have the buyer cover shipping, and your total time commitment is simply taking pictures of what you have, listing it online, writing a description, and then waiting for it to sell. Worst case scenario is even if it doesn't sell, you're not out any money, and you still get to keep what you already have. Of course, the downside here is that it's not a sustainable side hustle, and there's only so much you can sell before eventually you're living in an empty apartment sleeping on $100 bills. At the very least though, it's a good place to start. You'll get paid for things you already have, and it'll free up space for more activities. Plus, it's something that probably 90% of you watching could begin doing immediately. Then, you could use that cash towards other areas like investments, dividend stocks, and this next one we're about to mention. Now fifth, if you want a guaranteed side hustle without all the responsibilities of managing a side hustle, some of you aren't going to be happy to hear this, but you should get a part-time job. I sound so old when I say that I'm just surprised how complicated people want to make this out to be, or how it's glamorized to bootstrapping your own way to making $5 an hour because you're doing it for yourself. Honestly, working for someone else gives you guaranteed income, predetermined hours, and zero risk of not getting paid unless your boss is terrible. But you know what? That's besides the point. Traditionally, if you want to earn a little extra money, part-time work is generally the first thing that comes to mind. It doesn't need to be glamorous, and it doesn't have to pay you an exorbitant amount. But if you're willing to do some extra work for local business, or work for somebody else, or do some work after normal hours, evenings or weekends, then look for potential options within your city. Check Craigslist, LinkedIn, Monster.com, Facebook Meta, or any other job sites to see what's available. With record high job openings, chances are you have more leverage than you think. Now sure, this might also include driving for DoorDash, delivering groceries, washing dishes at a local restaurant, but regardless, there's no shame in an honest day of work. For anyone looking to make some extra money with absolutely zero risk, this is the way to do it. The sixth option, even though this one takes significantly more work, and it's pretty much the exact opposite of our last one, it could also be very financially rewarding, and that would be starting your own business. I seriously think this is one of the most underutilized income sources that enough people don't take advantage of, because working any type of side business independent from your main job is not only a good way to make more money, but also diversify yourself in the event that something happens and you need something to fall back on. I just want you to think about this and ask yourself, what do you do between the hours of 6 p.m. and midnight every single night? That is 6 hours a day, or almost another entire full workday on top of a normal workday that most people just completely let go to waste. If you want to get ahead or you want to make more money, use this time and let it count. You'll get some really good experience. Besides, what do you have to lose besides the evenings you're probably watching Netflix anyway? Now that we're more than halfway through, I'd love to hear your thoughts so far. Did some of these interest you? Or were they hard pills to swallow? Let me know what you think by commenting down below. Let's now go on to the 7th option. 7th, if you don't want the obligation of running your own business or the time commitment of agreeing to do a part-time job, but you still want to make stacks of cash without a lot of work, you can consider doing focus groups. For anyone not familiar with what this is or how this works, companies want your opinion on their upcoming products or services, so that once they go to market, they know exactly what the consumer wants to do. They rely on focus groups to get unbiased feedback on what they have to offer, and then they can make adjustments accordingly. It's something like a jury. The payout for these usually ranges depending on how long it goes for, whether or not it's online or in person, or how niche the demographic they're looking for is. Most of the time, if you qualify, it's worth it to do it. This certainly is not meant to replace your income or anything, and I bet someone like Elon Musk isn't raging to his friends about how he made $200 doing a 30-minute survey. But if you want to make a little extra money on the side working just a few hours a month, this is absolutely a good way to do that. Now wait, for this 8th one, we're going full Gary Vee on this one, and that would be flipping items for free online. The best part about this is that you need $0 to start. For example, go to Craigslist and under the For Sale section, you'll see the word free. Click that and it's items that people are just giving away. Now yes, most of the time it's junk. And it's not like people are giving away Steinway pianos. But if you look long enough, eventually, you'll find something that's worth money that the owners just don't have time to properly sell. For example, here's a leather couch for free. And here's a coffee maker. Perfect for coffee now, for sale at bankrollcoffee.com for free. Here's a literal grand piano that the same manufacturer that I could have paid $16,000 for is now free. This is all something that the right person would pay money for with the proper advertising. So, if you have the ability to pick up these items, to move them, to store them, and wait for the right buyer to come along, you could make some pretty decent money. Worst case is, even if no one buys, you can just repost it back on Craigslist for free and let someone else take care of it. Moving on to the 9th, which is the favorite of a select few, is credit card churning. This is the practice in which you sign up for a credit card and then meet the minimum spend to get the sign-up bonus. Generally, these offers range anywhere from $100 to $300 in the low end, all the way up to $1,500 or more for some of the high-end luxury credit cards. But regardless, doing this takes next to no time long-term that could help your credit score. I mean, let's be real, who doesn't like getting free stuff? There are really good websites out there that can help make the entire process much easier. All you need to do is put your normal everyday spending on the credit card, pay it off in full by the end of the month, and get free money for items you would have been purchasing anyway. This is something that could easily make you anywhere from minutes to hours worth of work. For anyone who wants to learn more on exactly how to do this, all you got to do is Google or YouTube credit card churning. And there are some fantastic resources out there that will walk you through every step along the way. Finally, my 10th favorite is to monetize one of your skills. The thing is, if you're good at something or if you have a unique skill like calculus or building websites, they can take you a long way. For example, if you're good at playing the piano, look into giving piano lessons. Or if you're good at math, English, science, or history, look into becoming a tutor. Unfortunately, this isn't something I could give you specific guidance on, because it really depends on what you're good at. But think about what you have to offer, and then reach out to other people who could use those services. This is something that anybody could start with no money out of the pocket, and the only cost is your time. So, out of all the side hustles out there, these are by far my top 10 favorites to make extra money without working your entire face off. Just remember to research, 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 and you'll be making money in no time. It always pays to start small. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like it. Thanks for watching, and if you want to learn a few more tips and tricks to handling your money or your money-making skills, make sure to subscribe. We'll see you in the next video. Cheers!